Hello everyone! Welcome back sa aking YouTube channel. So for today's video, we will be discussing about triangle congruence. Our objectives are define congruent figures, illustrate triangle congruence, list corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So kapag sinabi natin congruent, it is a property of geometrical figures. Para masabi naman natin na congruent yung dalawang figures, they have the same shape and same size. Among the given figures, which pair of triangles is congruent? So tignan natin yung figure number 1. Pwedeng parehas sila ng shape, pero hindi sila parehas ng size kasi mas malaki tignan si triangle IGH kesa kay triangle KMF. So, hindi natin siya mako-consider as congruent yung dalawang figure. So, proceed tayo dito kay figure number 2. So, kung makikita nyo, meron siyang unit na 3 square centimeter. So, both triangles have the same measure, 3 square centimeter. But, they don't have the same shape. So, hindi rin natin siya mako-considered as congruent figures. So, tingnan natin si figure number 3. Maaaring si triangle ABC ay kasing sukat ni triangle TSR. Maaari din naman na parehas sila ng cookies. So, tingnan natin kung pwede bang maging congruent triangle ABC kay triangle TSR. So, sa mga triangles, they have the same vertices. Kaya, masasabi natin na meron silang 1-to-1 correspondence. Okay? So, in figure number 3, if triangles A, BC, and triangle TSR can match up their vertices by flipping and rotating the figures until they overlap exactly, then you will notice that the corresponding sides and the corresponding angles overlap are congruent. So, for example, vertex A is correspond to vertex T. Here. Next is vertex B correspond to vertex S. Next is vertex C correspond to vertex R, or vertices A, B, and C correspond to vertices T, S, R. So kung mapapansin nyo, yung order ng pangalan ng triangle ay nagko-correspond doon sa isa pang pangalan ng triangle. So let's list the corresponding sides of these two figures. So the corresponding sides are segment AB correspond to segment TS. Next, segment BC corresponds to segment SR. Segment AC correspond to segment TR. So now let's list yung corresponding angles naman. We have angle A correspond to angle T. Angle B correspond to angle S. Angle C correspond to angle A. Two triangles are congruent if there exists a 1-to-1 correspondence between their vertices, such that their corresponding sides are congruent and all their corresponding angles are congruent. Masasabi natin na congruent yung dalawang triangle kapag congruent din yung mga corresponding sides and corresponding angles nila. So let's observe this figure. Okay, congruent sides. So let's list the congruent sides. First, we have AB is congruent to segment TS. Next, segment BC is congruent to segment SR. Next is segment AC is congruent to segment TR. After natin malist yung congruent sides, proceed tayo sa congruent angles. Congruent angles, we have angle A is congruent to angle T. Angle B is congruent to angle S. Angle C is congruent to angle R. Kung na-notice nyo yung mga identical marks, ibig sabihin kapag may identical marks siya, ibig sabihin nun, congruent sila sa isa't isa. Halimbawa dito sa segment A, segment AB, meron siyang tatlong mark. So, sa kabilang triangle, si segment TS ay may tatlong mark din, which means si segment AB at si segment TS ay congruent. How about naman dun sa angle? Angle C, meron siyang tatlong mark ulit. So, sa kabilang triangle naman, si angle R ay mayroon ding tatlong mark. Ibig sabihin, si angle C ay congruent kay angle R. So, gamit yung mga marks, mga identical marks, masasabi natin na ang dalawang figure ay congruent. So, let's have, therefore, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle TSR. So, let's have an example. Example number 1. List the 6 pairs of corresponding congruent parts of the given triangles and name the 2 congruent triangles. So, since may mga identical marks sila, ayun yung pagbabasihan natin ng pagiging congruent ng congruent sides and congruent angles. Okay, so let's list first the congruent sides. Congruent sides muna tayo. We have segment LV. Ang ka-identical mark niya ay si segment PT. So, ibig sabihin, segment LV is congruent to segment PT. Next, we have segment VU is congruent to segment TS. Parehas silang may tatlong marks, so they are congruent. Next, we have segment LU, congruent kay segment PS. Next, let's list the congruent angles. We have angle L, meron siyang 3 marks, at dun sa kabilang triangle, may 3 marks din si angle P, so they are congruent. Angle L is congruent to angle P. Next, we have angle U. Angle U, may isa siyang mark. Sa kabilang triangle, si angle S ay may isang mark. So, they are congruent. Angle U is congruent to angle S. We have angle V. Angle V is congruent to angle T. Therefore, triangle LUV is congruent to triangle PST. Example number 2. Show that 2 triangles are congruent. So, through their identical marks again, let's have the corresponding sides. Corresponding sides, we have segment VU correspond or congruent to segment AT. Next, we have segment UL. Segment UL is congruent to segment TM. Segment VL is congruent to segment A. Corresponding angles, we have angle V is congruent to angle A. Angle U is congruent to angle T, and angle L is congruent to angle M. So therefore, triangle VUL is congruent to triangle ATM. I hope you're learning!